What's going on, everybody? It's Yo. We've another again for another passion project kind of style one. We're staying away from anime for a little bit, and not entirely, but talking about what I think is very interesting in terms of character dynamics and beloved characters in most forms of media. And is that when you talk about women in gaming and in anime and most forms of fiction, the most beloved and unique ones that tend to be taught the most are the ambiguous types. Now, they're usually called like dark, long, ambiguous in terms of how people would describe some of these characters. Some of the thumbnail you were very well familiar with. And it's this notion of like, why are these characters always the most popular, the most talked about, the most intriguing? Let's get into it. Now, I need to start by kind of giving more of a scale of which how I rate and judge these characters. Like, when it comes to characters in fiction, specifically, I would say with women characters, to be interesting to me, it's not just from a looks perspective. It's, of course, the personality and the depth behind that character. And I find that the morally ambiguous characters have the most depth attached to them, because they're not simply a one-note good, evil, bad, whatever. They tend to have such nuance and such rich writing within their characters, which I think has been lost in the last couple of years of gaming and a little bit in the Western media. Anime tends to keep this mostly intact, but let's go focus on some of the characters I've mentioned here, being Shadowheart, Ada Wong, and Miranda Lawson from Mass Effect 2 into Mass Effect 3. Ada Wong, goes without saying, is one of the known feminine fatales from video game history, be it her on-again, off-again, will-they, won't-they relationship with best boy Leon S. Kennedy. And the thing about her character is that she started out as kind of a mercenary slash, right-hand man to Albert Wesker, the one in charge of the Umbrella Corporation, and would go gallivanting around the world trying to procure any kind of items in relation to Umbrella's plans, especially Wesker's demands. And when looking back at it, when she first met Leon in the events of Resident Evil 2, be it the original or the remake, it was kind of like a stumbling in means of opportunity. And through the course of that story, they became to rely on each other and need each other while trying to survive this apocalyptic nightmare. And then you fast forward into Resident Evil 4, which is my favorite game of all time, and I think one of the best games of all time. You have Ada coming in her now signature Chinese dress with the slit and the gun on the hip, and their interactions when they first meet for the first time in 6 years. Because don't forget, in the events of Resident Evil 2, Leon thinks she's dead. He had no idea that she was still alive, and during this time of him trying to save the president's daughter, Ada is clearly trying to also play an angle of using Leon to destroy the cult, to be able to get this sample in order to get to Wesker. And we are still trying to figure out what is her true goal. And then in the end, when she betrays Leon, as of course we kind of all saw coming, she still didn't kill him because she's grown to, we can say love, but we still don't know. But she definitely cares for Leon, and the way their relationship kind of goes over into the next game that she appears in, which is Resident Evil 6, which is a controversial game from the fan base perspective, but I did enjoy the game. In fact, because of how ambiguous this woman is, they literally had a clone of her made that helped supersede it into the story of Chris Redfield's campaign compared to Leon's campaign, and now Leon has to fight Chris Redfield in a way to make sure he doesn't kill Ada because he knows the truth, but also because he doesn't want Ada to die for obvious reasons. And it's just the back and forth, the ups and downs, the never a dull moment whenever Ada's on screen, Ada's involved. And you could say what you want about Leon, he might be a simp or whatever, but have you seen how that woman looks? Have you seen the stories they've been through?
Chris? Leon? What are you doing here?
Think about it. For 10 years of his life, fighting these viruses and these zombies, this woman has been one of the few constant things in his life. It makes sense that he's kind of invested. Let's move on to Miranda Lawson. Now, the cool thing also about Miranda Lawson as a character is that her character model comes from a very famous actress during the time of the early 2000s in the show Chuck. She is like almost a one-to-one copy of the model slash actress, and what makes her so unique is how she started out as being the elusive man's right-hand man, but then eventually kind of grew and grow into Shepard's team and became one of his best relationships. Fight me, I dare you. In that her character arc and what her background was, that she was literally made to be perfect. Best DNA, best genes of all of humanity in a sci-fi 100+ year futures where we have these things called mass relays that allow us to go to any galaxy in a matter of seconds. And this character struggled with feelings of not only desire but purpose, because in her mind, if she wasn't perfect, if she's not doing what she's meant to be, then why is she here? And she really had to find a sense of self because she's so used to following orders either from her father or the elusive man. Shepard as a character kind of helped her to figure out not only free will but her own desire. Also, she is a perfect representation of the Shepard effect, of how Shepard can inspire and create new allies from, of course, your actions as the player, but think about in terms of what these people are experiencing from this man or woman that you choose to play. And the fact of the matter is, Miranda's this entire life has been structured and down to a science, but now Shepard comes in with a bit of more humanity in a sense, where everything kind of matters and dictates based on him or her going through the motions of changing cities in the galaxy, and it's starting to really show what is the strength of humanity compared to the elusive man. The elusive man is the idea of superiority from humanity, kind of the inverse of what Saren was like in the effects of Mass Effect 1. He's trying to show you that human beings can be the best of the best, even if we have to be dirty or underhanded, because in his mind, humanity above all, which is kind of ironic to where we are nowadays in the current political climate. But Miranda's character showcases the one ability to kind of unplug yourself from an indoctrination and an ideology, from the effect of someone with strong, really charismatic ability, but also his actions speak as well as his words. Her character arc is my second favorite in Mass Effect 2, and then we lead into Mass Effect 3, where she can't be a playable party member, but based on your actions and how you change, she's a great ally in relation to the entirety of the story as you try to fight the Reapers. I highly recommend checking out the Mass Effect trilogy. No other Mass Effect games you really need to play. Mass Effect trilogy is one of the best trilogies of all time when BioWare was at its peak. Now let's go to the more recent example, and probably one of the more beloved examples in the last 3 years, in Shadowheart. Shadowheart is the #1 most requested and most loved character in all Baldur's Gate 3. Literally by the numbers, she is the most romanced character in the entire game. And it's in the game, you can romance literally everybody from the party. And it's not even side NPCs that aren't in your party. And the thing is about her story and her character is that she is someone who literally was put through a grueling childhood of being abducted and indoctrinated into essentially the church, or I would say the path of Lady Shar, and that upbringing led her to have such a disposition when it comes to pain, tolerance, and I don't know how else to really phrase it. I really want to think you should play this game, but she herself has such a weird dichotomy when it comes to, she's willing to just sell somebody if it makes her means, but she also likes to defend women and children. She will gladly cut through an entire goblin camp, brutally in fashion, by the way, but it's also want to like stop and help an animal who's stuck in a bear trap. She is just always ready for both sides of the spectrum, which kind of makes so any playthrough with her, you kind of can go with the ebbs and flows, and she kind of shows you what she does and doesn't like. And this is just from the surface level. When you actually, and of course most people have, gone into her backstory and seeing what the true history behind her parents, and forgetting that she's a half-elf, so she's going to live quite a long bit of time, you get to see like a broken woman who kind of doesn't know she's broken due to the fact that her memory was wiped as part of the storyline. And when you kind of get her memories back and you get to see like the tragedy of what she goes through, and if you do go down her quest line, you actually get to see what happened to her parents, the state that her parents are in, and kind of get to dictate where she goes on this path. You can also enable her to go completely down the rabbit hole of Lady Shar and just be basically a voidless, soulless warrior of the night, or you can kind of free her in a way, which leads to her better design when she gets the white hair and looks the best in my opinion, and she gets to be like a person again. In fact, one of her lines in the game is that she never truly understood like happiness, joy, and just positive emotions before meeting the Tav, or however you pronounce your character. And that goes to show you that despite all this richness, all this story, she still is grateful. Like, just to say she's not like a made woman would be crazy, but what makes her so intriguing is because there's no sense of always right, always wrong, because some of the other characters, like Astarion, he's always going to be kind of the bad boy. Will, always going to be the goody two-shoe. Gale, very questionable in almost everything he does. Karlach is just golden retriever energy to the max. And then, of course, you have Haslam. I'm looking at you people. I'm looking at you people with Haslam. And then, of course, you have someone like Mizora, Minthara. We all have our ninks and our kinks and whatever. But Shadowheart literally can go with anyone for any kind of thing, and she just has the smallest bit of boundaries. And there's plenty of other dark-haired and morally ambiguous women I can name for this kind of video. I just wanted to highlight what I think are one of the big three when it comes to it. There's other ones like, of course, Bayonetta is another popular one, and I'm sure you guys can listen to other ones. Boa Hancock, Nico Robin. Like, there's so many characters in fiction that when you think of them, they kind of fit the bill of dark, mysterious, ambiguous, never really kind of getting a pulse of what they're trying to do. They're kind of always there, always in the mix, and you can't say what it is, but something about them just has you wanting more, wanting to learn more, wanting to be around them. And it's that ambiguity, because English is hard, about them that makes them just so enchanting and entrancing. And when you think about these characters now, I'm sure if you've made it this far in the video, plenty of you have started thinking and jotting down characters who I would love to get into and learn about from either be it a book, a movie, a video game, or an anime. Please let me know down in the comments. I want to end up this video by kind of highlighting that I don't think that these are the only way to make female characters, or even necessarily the best. But what I came to make this video was to highlight why I think these are the most memorable female characters. Because we have plenty of female characters in just gaming and fiction in general who don't necessarily fit this mold. Some of them are very goody two-shoes, like Princess Peach, Princess Zelda, and some of them are badasses like Bill from Kill Bill or Sarah Connor. Like, it's just when these characters are brought up, like the Electras, the Black Cats, the Catwomans, the ones who always kind of, you don't have a right beat on them. You don't really know what they're going to do. They're kind of a wild card without being crazy like Harley Quinn or the Joker. And I think that we should celebrate these characters more often, and these characters are usually at the top of most popular contests. Let me know in the comments if you guys want me to cover any kind of other aspect of gaming or fiction you think doesn't get talked about. GG's, guys.
Stop what you're doing and listen.